partner with Wellness Biosciences, brought it in late last year, and it has become part of the Wellness Biosciences product line. The CIMR technology itself is groundbreaking, and it actually started as part of the Department of Defense and the Army and other institutions in our armed forces were the ones who had it first for many years before it came to become available to the general public, which is private and commercial, which is what we're going to be helping doing now. So let's see. Here.
Yeah, this one.
So the CIMR technology by WBRx. It's a layered air defense system. And why do we call it layered? Well, just like clothing on a cold day or something where we need more than just one t-shirt, we need to layer and protect ourselves from the environment. And this is a similar system where the CIMR not only does its part, but there are other parts that will make it more effective. This is a picture of the industrial strength 414 unit, which will cover up to 16,000 square feet. And this is the CIMR 2000, which will definitely cover up to 2,000 square feet, and maybe in an empty environment, a little more than that. It's an emerging technology which combats the coronavirus, SARS-2, in the air and on surface, but it doesn't stop just with the SARS. It does viruses, bacteria, mold, fungi, and allergens. So this year, when the COVID-19 pandemic engulfed us, different universities, prestigious universities, and the government itself, the Secretary of State and the Pentagon endorsed the use of dry hydrogen peroxide, which is a form of H2O2 single molecule, as a preventative and protective measure against COVID-19. It's a deadly weapon against viruses and all pathogens. It's a deadly weapon against any contagion. Public protocol, executive orders, information, and misinformation have taken part in our consciousness and our reasoning and on our state of mind. And that fear of the unknown can be paralytic. But at the same time, it brings us to have the ability to innovate and push forward and bring out the best in ourselves. And that is why CIMR is being introduced through WBRx. It's going backwards. Oh no, it's the same. It's the next one. CIMR comes in with a complete solution to the problem of COVID-19. The DHP, or the dry hydrogen peroxide generator inside the machine, works around the clock nonstop to produce the dry hydrogen peroxide, which is like a scavenger out in our internal environment. And it kills viruses and bacteria in the air, surfaces, clothing, hair, and skin. Everything and everyone is protected with the CIMR technology, and we're talking about animals and plants also, and it is safe for all living things. CIMR is a peace of mind that you can breathe safely, unlike other solutions or products out there where you have to wait until the mist or the product is removed from the internal environment. And the proprietary CIMR technology uses low-level hydrogen peroxide in a gas form to protect your home, your surroundings, the air around you, and cleans those areas around the clock. It gets rid of viruses like the novel SARS-CoV-19. It does bacteria, mold, and other pathogens, as I've already described before. And it does it preemptively before they get the chance to affect the health of people, clients, co-workers, or your loved ones, if you hopefully got some of these CIMR machines into their homes. And I just delivered one to my parents today. So how does a pathogen really work? Well, a pathogen such as COVID seeks water. Well, it could be a bacteria, it could be a mold or a fungus. They all seek water because that's what they need to survive, to exchange their waste, and to replicate. This is a pictogram of a hydrogen peroxide molecule. It's a covalently bonded molecule, which is negatively and positively charged. Water, as we know, is H2O, so it would be just two hydrogens and an oxygen. Well, in the CIMR system, what it does is it catalytically takes and creates that covalent bond to take a molecule of oxygen from the atmosphere with a molecule of water in the atmosphere, surrounding atmosphere, internal, bonds them together and creates a molecule of hydrogen peroxide, which then is attracted to the virus. Now, the virus itself could be the one who's actually looking for the water in order to replicate and to exchange waste. So it thinks that the hydrogen peroxide molecule is water because it contains the H2O. Because the hydrogen peroxide has an extra oxygen atom, when the pathogen takes it in, that extra oxygen reacts and releases energy. When it releases that energy, it really blows up the pathogen cell wall and therefore kills it or neutralizes it. And this is a pictogram of an explosion from inside going outwards. In the old cartoons, they used to swallow bombs or explosives, and then of course the cat would just blow up and go back into shape. But here, that's not the case. So the question, of course, that people will ask is, how does it seek and destroy the viruses, bacteria, mold, mildew, fungi? The core process of this technology is the photocatalytic process, in which the gaseous hydrogen peroxide is produced and ionized. This means that the hydrogen peroxide particles have both negative and positive charges. And thanks to the electrostatic attraction with the virus or the bacteria, they are attracted to the pathogens, making the hydrogen peroxide molecules function as a scavenger, homing in, finding these harmful pathogens, being ingested, and then neutralizing them. As we know, hydrogen peroxide in its liquid form is a very effective disinfectant, and it's used in many industries where surfaces need sterilizations, hospitals, restaurants, and any institution, even my son's school, uses it to clean surfaces without leaving harmful chemicals behind. You can find hydrogen peroxide in your local pharmacy, and hydrogen peroxide gas can be produced, but the levels that are used sometimes for the disinfectant are a little stronger than the ones that are in the pharmacy brown bottles. As you probably know, there's a reason why they're in the brown bottles, and that's because the hydrogen peroxide will deactivate after a period of time if light comes through a clear bottle. And in the end, it'll really just end up being water. It will release that extra oxygen molecule. The technology kills bacteria, viruses by oxidizing the outer membrane and therefore letting the internal environment come in, which of course destroys the integrity of the virus or the pathogen. This slide is interesting because it's a reverse pyramid as to the effectiveness of our PPE equipment and other now institutionalized ways that we use products to help us get rid of and secure our internal environment. We know that on the bottom, if you look on the top of the pyramid upside down, is PPE, which is the personal protective equipment. Now, personal protective equipment can be effective but you have to be suited up almost like an astronaut in a spacesuit in order to really for it to be effective, and then you have to throw it away. So technically, PPEs are least effective and very non-cost efficient. There are administrative controls to change the way people work. As we know what happened, a lot of people had to stay home and work from home. We also changed our environment. Mothers and fathers became at the same time teachers and had to deal with not only the business at work, but the business in the house. There's engineering controls in order to isolate people from hazards. We can substitute and replace the hazard, or we can eliminate, which is the most effective form, and physically remove the hazard. And that's where CIMR technology comes in to eliminate the pathogen. What are the benefits of this technology? Disinfection and purification are not the only advantages of the CIMR devices. The technology also offers cost avoidance. It's a low-cost maintenance. They do not require refills or replacement filters. The technology works 24/7. You do not have to hire a team of people to disinfect the area or the facilities with other procedures that have a recurring cost, such as liquid H2O2 or chemicals and misting. It's a 24/7 protection. The CIMR devices can work around the clock continuously and producing hydrogen peroxide gas to reach every nook and cranny that an air molecule can get into the drywall, behind a drywall, wherever there is air, the hydrogen peroxide molecule can be found. To maintain the productivity, since the device is constantly fighting and terminating pathogens, the employees are protected while they work and reducing the possibilities of a virus or bacteria affecting them. How do we break the chain of infection? Well, using CIMR technology to break the chain of infection and stop the spread of pathogens in order to protect people, it's kind of like an old wagon wheel. So we have, as you can take a look, we have infectious microbes such as the virus, bacteria, and fungi, a pathogen source, which is the people, the equipment, the water, and the food. How does it spread? Well, coughing, sneezing, breathing. How is it passed? It's primarily passed by shared air and less from surfaces, and being, of course, outdoors in where there's a breeze and where there's constant recirculation of air. How is it received? Primarily, it's received through the nasopharynx, which is the mouth and the nose, a little bit through the eyes if someone directly coughs at you, and sometimes, of course, it's a blood pathogen, so it can be transmitted through touching blood or receiving blood. And then the highest risk of people, of course, are the non-immuno persons, the elderly with secondary comorbidities and problems and issues, whether they're especially pulmonary and cardiovascular. Do we have proof of what we are saying? Yes, we do. And we have been actually using the CIMR technologies for many years, as I said, through the Department of Defense, and have been used by FEMA in catastrophic events such as Hurricane Rita, Ike, Katrina, Harvey, Irma, and Maria in 2017. In all these cases, the CIMR systems were successful in stabilizing and in remediation cleanup of buildings. Actually, if you go and look, there should be a study that was done at Fort Hood, I believe, especially in the remediation after water damage. Kansas State University and Sandia Labs found that hydrogen peroxide gas technology disinfected 99.8% of the H5N8 virus on surfaces within 2 hours. And Dr. Marsden of Kansas State University also had a say based on his research, and that the university found that hydrogen peroxide gas does what it says it does. The technology disinfects surfaces that are contaminated also with MRSA, which is the methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, and non-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, also E. coli, Listeria, Candida. I think a lot of you don't know what Strachiobotrys chartarum is, but it's black mold, Streptococcus, Pseudomonas, Bacillus. All of these microbial reductions in contaminated surfaces were effective in 96.4 to 99.9 within the first 24 hours of having a CIMR unit in that space. We have articles and case studies that we can send you if you're interested in, and the technology that powers CIMR hydrogen peroxide generators have been put to the test time and again. And you can see these cases by with the articles below. I'm not sure if you can click on them through this presentation, but if you ask Austin or anybody else, I'm sure they can be sent to you. So they're used by the Air Force, Kansas State University Strategic White Paper Study Report, the WHO, World Health Organization, SARS-CoV-2 transmission precautions, University of Pittsburgh reports. Those are some of the studies. This is an interesting chart. Why it really differentiates water, hydrogen peroxide, O3 is ozone, and UV light, ultraviolet light, into what is safe and what is not safe. So we can see, and everybody knows, that water is safe. It's not dangerous to human and pets unless you drown in it. Its effect on pathogen is that pathogens like water to thrive in. The EPA has warnings for water, and water, moisture, and evaporating cooling. Those you can read on your own. The important thing to see here is that we have also dangerous ultraviolet light and ozone. While they're not chemicals, they are dangerous to humans when they are used as pathogen destroyers. Ozone is an extreme danger to humans and animals in their lungs, and it is needed in high quantities in order to sanitize well. When you breathe in ozone, which is O3, it's an extra oxygen, it actually burns your alveoli. It is deadly to all microbes, good and bad, at 0.4 parts per million or greater. Ozone can damage the lungs, and low amounts can cause chest pain, coughing, shortness of breath, and throat irritation. Now, here's the big thing. Also, ozone kills good and bad microbials indiscriminately. Ultraviolet light, well, we know that ultraviolet light is extreme danger to vision. It depends on the surfaces that are being treated for the strength and duration that the UV light needs to do. And if the UV light is not on the particular pathogen, meaning under a desk, under a chair, wherever that pathogen might be, it is not going to kill it. The reason is it has to be a direct line of sight of the ultraviolet ray. The exposure to UV rays can cause premature aging of skin and signs of sun damage, wrinkles, leathery skin, liver spots, actinitic keratosis, and solar elastosis. That's where Botox and fillers can come in and help sometimes, but definitely we've seen what happened in the 60s and 70s when people did not use UV protection when they went out to the beaches and got suntans. So what we do see here is the green line, which is a safe and effective hydrogen peroxide, as DHP. It is safe below 0.05 parts per million. Our DHP, or our CIMR products, create 0.02 parts per million or percent of dry hydrogen peroxide. So we're even half of what is the limit. As you can see, in effects on pathogens, it's deadly to pathogens at 0.02 parts per million or greater, which is what we produce. It is safe for use in occupied settings. It's safe for human exposure. No-touch disinfection technology is effective adjunct to manual cleaning. And dry hydrogen peroxide is shown to be effective with a no-touch disinfection technology on both air and surfaces. It does not seem to log noticeable kill rates on good microbial elements, but deadly to pathogens. So DHP ends up being a molecular assassin to pathogens. We can compare CIMR to other pathogen eradication technologies. It is sometimes referred to as a low-level hydrogen peroxide in dry air gas form. It's actually single individual hydrogen peroxide molecule, free-floating in our environment. These pathogens seek out the hydrogen peroxide, thinking it's water, and ingest it. So therefore, it's the CIMR hydrogen peroxide that we produce that kills the pathogens. How does it work? Well, this is a rendering of probably what looks like a CIMR 414. And on the right, you see the orange oxygen and moisture from the environment going into the device, where the CIMR cell ionizes the particles to form a covalent bond, creating dry hydrogen peroxide. And at the other end, the fan blows it back out into the environment, and 0.02 parts per million of hydrogen peroxide is released from the device in a gaseous and continuous state, continuously disinfecting, purifying the air and surfaces of your home, office, or business. Who has the CIMR units already? As I said before, when we started, it was usually the armed forces or the Department of Defense who started, and Alton worked with for many years, probably over 10 as a start, and the United States Army, the Air Force, the DoD, Department of Defense, the Navy. Joseph was talking about how he helped get the product, the CIMR unit, a variation of the CIMR unit, into NASA, up in the Space Lab. It's made in the USA. Houston Baptist University, I believe, has CIMR units, Lamar University. In Harris County, I think it's the juvenile court that has the CIMR 2000s. And now we are fortunate to have it and to be able to give it, as I said, to companies and to individuals. A portion of efficacy studies. Wow, I think every one of you can take a look at the different studies that are here. And again, if you call or email Austin or somebody at WBRx, I'm sure that we can send you the information that you're looking for that will satisfy the curiosity of some of these studies. We have endorsements, testimonials, and letters of recommendation. And retired General P.K. Carlton was on the Saturday. He came in by Zoom when we had our wonderful meeting, which was set up with Joseph Strahan. And his recommendation is that the CIMR technology is proven as a single most effective protection method against viruses, including COVID-19. And it is harmless to humans, pets, and plants. So he is a wonderful, knowledgeable, and very accredited person to get this kind of testimonial from. And that was one of the interesting reads that I did much earlier last year. There are other facilities that use our products, Maxwell Air Force Base, then Bowling Air Force Base, Fort Polk Barracks, Mental Health Services of Beaumont. Here it is, Harris County Family Law Center in Houston, Texas. Fort Hood Cafeteria, Homeland Security, Salmon Packing Plant in Florida, Wilson Beef's Packing House in upstate New York, Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey, Geisinger Hospital Operating Rooms in Pennsylvania, Cone Oasis Retreat Encampment in the Valley, homes and small businesses in Beaumont, Lamar Library University, Job Workforce Center, Pinecrest Baptist Church, First Methodist Church in Beaumont, Island Baptist Church, and Pine Forest. A lot of Baptist churches. I hope other churches get involved so that now with the new mandate of the masks being not necessary, I hope that people decide to go back into the different churches also, and I hope that they stay vigilant for the future of what could also happen again. Different references that we can send you or you can call and ask. And here's one of the best endorsements here in Houston. It is the Moody Rambin building at 5858 Westheimer here in Houston. Joseph Trahan last year put the CIMR systems in all of the, I believe there's 8 floors, 120,000 square feet of space. Every single square millimeter is now protected by the CIMR systems. And they were one of the panel discussers during the meeting that we had on last Saturday. You can read that, and actually they'll even let you in and go into the building. And you can go in without a mask if you want to, and it is 100% covered by the CIMR systems. This is a quick view of the CIMR 2000. The recommended treatment space, we'd say really it's up to 2,000 square feet. And the reason is there's always a load of some kind. It might be able to cover up to 3,000, but that would be an empty space without traffic during, let's say, times of the day or night when no one's moving around and it's not being occupied. But basically it's 500 square feet to 2,000 square feet. It's not very big. It's 12 inches by 10 inches by 10 inches. So it's really a 12 by 12 by 12 box. And it has a 3-year warranty on the cells and on its power base. The industrial unit will be the CIMR 414. It's made out of high-grade aluminum, and it covers 1,000 square feet to 16,000 square feet, and it creates 0.2 parts per million of dry hydrogen peroxide. The purchase office, well, of course, all of you understand that it goes through the WBRx brand partners in your back office, and sales of the CIMR technology will help with ranking and compensation plan subject to discounts, and both help with ranking in the comp plans and subject to other discounts. That is that portion of the slideshow. I do have a couple of things I would like to add at the end of this, just a few minutes. Now, a couple of them is to remind you that this is a photocatalytic process in which the gaseous hydrogen peroxide is produced. So there are other competing technologies. Some of them call themselves filtration units. Some of them call themselves chemical units or misters and ionizers. Remember that filtration, even a N95 mask is a 0.3 micron mask, and viruses are 0.1 microns. So there's still space for a virus to go through a HEPA filter or an N95 mask. Chemicals, well, chemicals can be dangerous to humans in an environment, especially if they create a mist. You have to evacuate the space. Then it has to have time for it to settle. Then you have to clean the space. And once the space is reoccupied, you have to start from zero. The wonderful thing about the CIMR units is they work 24/7, whether the space is occupied or not. We do not have to waste time and energy and efficiency in cleaning the space while the CIMR 2000s or any other of the systems is working. Also, ionization causes ozone, and as what we talked about, ozone is dangerous to humans or to the lungs, and that is not a very good functioning way of, again, disinfecting an area, simply because if you do it that way, you have to evacuate the space while you're doing that. A little tidbit of information, what is a micron? Since I mentioned that a virus is 1 micron. Well, a micron is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, or it's 1,000 microns in 1 milliliter. A human hair is 100 microns. A human blood cell is 7 microns. Bacteria are 1.5 microns. N95 mask is 0.3 microns, and the coronavirus is 0.125 microns. And for some of you who are thinking about the cost of the 2000, and I'm just going to give you an example of how I calculate it up. A lot of times we're using square feet and how many square feet it covers. But we're also forgetting that a volume of a space is not a square foot, it's a cubic foot. And so if you think about a CIMR 2000 covering a 50-foot by 40-foot room or 2,000 square feet, and let's say we have an 8-foot ceiling, that is about 16,000 cubic feet. And if we take a cost of the product versus now the cubic feet, it's no longer about $1 a square foot. It comes down to 12.5 cents a cubic foot, which is a complete different change paradigm as to the efficiency of a CIMR 2000 and costing 12.5 cents a cubic foot versus any other system that has to have more filters or has to have more liquids being added and purchased. And then, of course, the manpower to clean it all out. So I hope this presentation was interesting. I hope some of you learned a few things. I know I always do when I present these things. I want to thank Wellness Biosciences, Barry and Sean, for letting me give you this presentation. And if there's any questions anytime, you guys can reach out to me and email me, text me, call me. It doesn't matter. I'll be glad to answer anything that I do know. And if I don't, I'll find out and I'll get back to you. Thank you so very much.
Okay, fantastic. Well, guys, as you can see, I mean, one of the things that we create as much emphasis on as possible is just the education, giving people an understanding of really what's taking place. And, I think that that's probably the thing that we want to, give people a sense of confidence and understanding. And I plan to, this was done, as I saw today, I think Austin got it up on Facebook Live, which is fantastic. More information to more people who want to tune in. And, we're going to continue to repurpose this information, recorded Zoom calls via YouTube and get it out there. Just more current information that's going on a consistent basis is always the key. And if you guys have any questions, please don't, feel free to, as you said, you can contact Dr. Nesic yourself. He's really become quite an authority when it comes to CIMR. He's spent a lot of time and energy researching it and going through the details of that information. We encourage that, and we encourage you to repurpose the information. So we appreciate you guys spending some time on the call here today. We're going to be here as we always are on Tuesdays and Thursdays to, continue to have more information. I believe next week we've got Dr. Jasani that's going to be presenting the Metered Plus. He's going to be going through some of the information, the details on that. And we're looking at different things that we can do within our Metered Plus line to microdose some real valuable new components, not new components, but components of the cannabis plant that are continue to be researched and help people in a lot of different ways. So we're excited about that. So guys, thank you so much for the time here on the call. We're going to be Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. For those of you that have people that are getting started, I know many of you do, or looking to get started, we're going to spend some time on that call going through, our 6-step marketing program and talking about our compensation strategy. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you very much. Have a great day and God bless. Bye-bye.